securing total number of clients per year, or get 2 new clients a month is a little bit more of a loosey-goosey goal because, again, you're not going to know if you hit that until it's December. So you might as well get some incentive for yourself and diversify what your options are so that you can get that snowball effect of having achieved some of your goals, some of your wishes, your dreams, right? And then that begets more goals. Greetings and welcome back to the Kiss My Aesthetic podcast. I'm so excited for this episode because it is our 2025 version of our Bingoals, which is our bingo year-long accountability game that my team and I played. If you remember, this time last year, our bingo card went viral on TikTok. 1 million views on TikTok and over 800,000 views on Instagram for the Canva template that we used to do our team's goal setting. So in this episode, I want to walk you through which goals we kept from last year, how we actually adjusted our goals to make them more achievable and a little bit more motivating, and which ones we added for this year, because we have some big, ambitious, fun, creative, out-of-the-box goals, and I think it might motivate you to start your own bingo card. As a reminder, you can download the actual Canva template that we use on mkwcreative.co, and that will be under the resources tab. So go and get it there. But without further ado, we will jump in. This is how you play Bingoals. The idea is you come up with 24 different goals, and you're writing them in all of the different boxes all throughout your bingo card. Then as the year goes on, once you achieve that goal, you're marking off that box until you get bingo. The way that we played it with our team is the first person to get bingo won a prize, which was a $250 spa gift card. Cody was the first one to knock off bingo. But the idea being that each team member is writing those different goals in different boxes. So if you're halfway through the year and you've knocked off 4 out of the 5 in a row, column or diagonally, that you're going to work really hard to make sure that that last goal happens. And it's that like extra little push, extra little motivation to bring you over the edge. If you remember, we also did a Bingoals accountability group. So we actually took 12 people in for almost a mentorship mastermind for the whole year, where we checked in on each other's bingo cards and made sure that there was some added accountability, and also organized the goals based on type of goal. So I want to really encourage you to do that as well. When we did this with our team last year, we really found that there were 4 major themes for our goals. And those are potential client go-gets, social media client go-gets, podcast go-gets, and then personal/business development. So our goals last year, you can go back and listen to that episode. I don't remember the episode number, but we'll put it in the show notes. And you can listen to what those goals were. And really, as I was helping people through the Bingoals, like the goal setting group, I was noticing that a lot of the goals were very much vanity metrics and not so much affecting the actual mission or vision of the company. So a vanity metric would be something like get 20,000 followers on Instagram. And guilty as charged, because this was mine, right? I had on my bingo card, 20,000 on Instagram was a goal. The reality is that is something that's like a nice to have. It's not a need to have. And it also doesn't really dictate that those are qualified leads or that those are people that we want to work with or it's the right amount of people. It just was kind of an arbitrary, like next benchmark kind of number. And that's kind of why it ended up falling off as a goal. So this year we really adjusted those or put a lot of intention and thought behind the more seemingly vanity metric goals on our new list versus the old list. So if you had those on your old list, that's one edit I would make to your bingo card. The second edit that you might want to consider making to your bingo goals card is any goal that's like monthly or weekly or daily or quarterly this, because the reason is then you're not going to know if you hit that goal until December. So we had on ours, for example, like send out a monthly email newsletter. Like, okay, great. But as soon as you fall off that goal, now you're not reaching it, versus shifting it slightly to say monthly newsletter versus send out 12 email newsletters. Because if we really get on a vibe with email marketing and decide to send 2 newsletters a month, then we get the whole thing done by June and then we've sent out 12 emails. So there's ways to kind of like switch or adjust ways to trigger those goals so that it feels still motivating and it feels like you're working towards progress instead of waiting until the end of the week or waiting till the end of the month, running out of steam or missing a month and being like, well, there goes that one. And you just kind of lose out on that as marking it off. So I'd challenge you to think of that as well. I'll give more examples of that as I read through our list. So on today's call, which we just had, what we did is we took last year's bingo list. We took all the ones that we didn't get and the ones that we did accomplish, basically duplicated that entire list. We have it as a checklist in our Basecamp that matches our bingo card, right? duplicated it, and then went through team member by team member to either knock one off the list or add something new or edit one. So we each kind of took turns saying like, okay, I liked this goal. I don't think we need to keep that goal, blah, 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 blah. So what we did is we created actually a list of more than 24 different goals, because then we figured, okay, everyone's bingo card will really truly be different. So they can pick the goals that they feel like they're going to have the most impact on affecting or that they're personally interested in. So that's a really nice way to kind of 2.0 your bingo goal card, is to say like, okay, these were the goals last year. Which ones did we hit? Which ones weren't even challenging enough? Which ones were like totally now irrelevant? Like, doesn't matter. Like, for example, like getting 1 million views on a TikTok video was a goal on last year's card. But this year, like, who knows if TikTok is even going to exist? So maybe let's not put that as one of the goals. Those kind of like little edits, I think really do make a big difference as far as creating a bingo goal card that's really going to make sense for the whole year of 2025. So, drum roll. Without further ado, I'm going to read you through ours. If this gives you any kind of inspiration or gives you, sparks something for you, it's like, hey, I know someone that fits that demo, please send them our way. Duh, obviously. Like, please. And also, maybe it just gives you some ideas for how to structure yours better. I know that most of you guys that listen to this are in a marketing field or you're a designer yourself. So maybe this might spark something to get you closer to that. But I want to run through these goals with you, not only to give you some inspiration, but for some accountability for us and our team. And yeah, just kind of put it out in the open, some manifestation. What do we think? Sounds good, right? Okay, first and foremost, first chunk. Potential client go-gets. These are types of projects that we want to work on that either feel like within reach or possible in 2025, or maybe they're just like big, crazy goals. We have some of those. The first one is one new social media client. We have some clients that we're talking to. As you guys know from listening to the show, we only take on social media for clients that have gone through branding with us first. That's really important. Or we have one potential. That's like a very extreme circumstance where like, okay, this is too good of an opportunity to pass up. That being said, if you're wanting to work with us for social media in 2025, please submit your contact form. But what we specified on this goal, one new social media client that signs on for our 90-day launch package. So towards the end of last year, we spearheaded a new, again, this is all internal. We don't like outwardly advertise this because our outward advertising service is branding, but we're spearheading a new service where we do a 90-day social launch scope of work, and then a potential to renegotiate the contract from there. The reason we do this is that we really feel like in order to establish your brand on social media and establish a good brand presence, we need 90 days. This is not like a 1 week thing. This is not a 1 month thing. This is really 3 months of balls to the wall social media content on the platforms of your choice to really figure out how your presence is to be out in the world. And the goal is from there that the client is kind of studying what we do, right? So they're seeing how often we post, they're seeing the types of graphics that we're making, the templates that we have, the captioning style, the brand vision, and that at the end of that 90 days, they can choose whether they want to run with that themselves or if they want to retain us for more services and have us do that ongoing. So we're looking for that one new social media client that's interested in a 90-day launch. Again, this is probably someone that we've already worked with, although we'll keep it open. We'll keep that carrot dangling if it's a different type of fit. So if this sounds like you, fill out the contact form. The second goal that we have on here, which is so fun, which was an idea from Gabby, so thanks, Gabby, is one client per time zone region. So we Googled it. First, we said one client in each time zone of the US, which would be 4 time zones for the continental US. And then Hawaii and Alaska gets you up to 6 time zones. But the beauty of our job and the beauty of our team is that we can work for anyone from anywhere. So we worked with Shakila from Collab. She lives in the UK. We've worked with clients all over, really. Of course, I'm not remembering any of them right now. Oh, Piano Chi in Italy, right? We're trying to get those different slivers of the globe and have a client to represent each different time zone of the entire world, just because that just sounds fun. That's like a cool, fun fact. That's a good value proposition for us, really like hinging on, if you go back to the episode with Paulu, is like, what does it mean to do cultural branding? And what does it mean to consider the market and the aesthetics and the history and the culture of each different place and how we can do our best job as marketers to really connect with that audience, right? So client per time zone, that's a really big goal for us. The next one after that is another influencer/founder client. We had so much fun working on Hotel Lobby Candle with Lindsay Silberman, and that is really one of our like best case study projects. And we'd love to do another type of those projects. Also, Joe Johnson Overby with her brand, Morgan Eckeroth with her brand, but someone who has the community built in that's looking to launch into productized or digital or community style services that needs a brand, that needs something beyond them. Just like Christina, Trusted Travel Girl. We're working with Allie Abroad. These are kind of the people that come to mind. We really love that niche and would love to do more work in that area. So one of those. We also have on here a brand architecture client. So this might sound complicated, but the types of brands that are in charge of a portfolio of services or offerings. So if you think about like that, it could be that this influencer or founder client is one of these people, right? They have their brand. They might have a podcast. They might have a community that's branded separately. They might have a product-based offering, but they have kind of a system, a brand empire, if you will, of things that look different from each other, siblings, but not twins. So we'd love to work with another brand architecture client that has more than one audience that they're serving or more than one product or service they have on the table. Hotel brand hospitality client, still very high on our list for obvious reasons. Personal passion for travel. If you think of anybody, let us know. One new creative partnership retainer. Again, this would be for someone who's worked with branding with us first. So if you've done through branding with us, and then you want to stay on for a creative retainer, you want our help with miscellaneous print, digital, merch, social, the whole slew of offerings, that would be a really good fit for us in 2025. We have new food client on here. So somebody in the CPG with food or bev would be lovely. We also have on here like where these sources are coming from. So one of our client go get goals is to start to diversify the incoming referral source. Most of our work up until now has been from TikTok, from referrals, and from Instagram. And we'd like to see some of those things continue and others not, right? So we'd love to see a client come through from our effort on Pinterest or YouTube. And we'd love to see at least 4 new clients come in as referrals from existing clients. So that could look like a referral program, a kickback affiliate fee, or just an ask, honestly, like asking some of our favorite clients, like, hey, do you know anyone else that needs the services that we do? Because we'd love to help them. That's the kind of stuff that we're talking about. So all of these go-get goals with the potential clients go-gets are part marketing strategy, but also part figuring out who those referral contacts are, who are the people that we need to be talking to that are going to connect us to the people that need what we do, right? We'd love to do more merch collections. We've got product-based client on here, website-based clients, print marketing pieces. We really, really believe that 2025 is going to be the revival of print. So we're salivating at the idea of doing like a newspaper or a lookbook or a magazine or a print brochure, kind of reviving these older print things. You guys know that this was in my trend report. So that made it onto the Bingoals list. And then we have some fun ones as well, which are kind of revisiting old clients by offering them new deliverables, so new ways to help them, and what I'm calling a cross-client collaboration. For example, we have like a canned cocktail company, and then we have Lily Par. And Lily Par is opening a women's-based activewear boutique for tennis, pickleball, and golf. I would love to see the canned cocktails that we've designed at the Lily Par opening, right? And this may be as simple as just sending an email, but we want to start to see how our clients can relate to each other and build with each other, and what that looks like as our client list grows to foster those kinds of collaborations and see the crossover, right? So I think that could be a really fun goal in 2025, is like a cross-client collaboration of some point. So that pretty much rounds out the potential client go-gets. That's basically half of our bingo card is going to be attracting and pulling in those good fit clients, right? So all of those listed out, like I said, social media client, a client per time zone, just still so funny to me. Influencer client, brand architecture, hotel hospitality, food, print, packaging, merch, web, brick and mortar, didn't say that one before, product-based business, merchandise collections, and then figuring out where those referral sources are coming from. We'd love to see the referral source be an existing client. We'd also love to see the referral source be from our efforts on our lesser social platforms, so Pinterest, YouTube, Threads, etc. Those are the client go-gets. I do think it's a good idea for your bingo card to have the majority of the bingo card be relating to securing those leads, right? So especially if you know your services, you've got your team on point, you have your systems, you know how to run the business. It's like, okay, who are the people that we specifically want to work with and want to work for? I'm totally fine with half of our bingo card being dedicated to that. And the good thing about these goals, like I said at the beginning, is that once they're checked off, they're checked off. Like you get the one new food client and you can check off that box, versus saying like securing total number of clients per year, like, or get 2 new clients a month is a little bit more of a loosey-goosey goal, because again, you're not going to know if you hit that until it's December. So you might as well get some incentive for yourself and diversify what your options are so that you can get that snowball effect of having achieved some of your goals, some of your wishes, your dreams, right? And then that begets more goals. So the last half of this bingo card would be our social go-gets, podcast go-gets, and personal and business development. These goals are related to our signature service, which is branding, but they're not exact, right? For our social media goals for MKW Creative Co. is to kind of, again, like I said before, diversify where we show up and how we show up, but also to get the kind of traffic intentionally that will work us towards our other goals. So what we did is we took off any of the goals that were true vanity metrics. Get this number of followers, get this number of views. Yes, those are good goals, but they're not as measurable towards our mission as the ones that I think we kept. So like I said before, subscribers would be similar to like followers, right? But we kept the one from last year, which is get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. The reason is once you have 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, you can start to monetize with ads. That's where I'd like to be, because then that turns into a passive income stream. And then that in turn helps fund the business. So getting to the 1,000 subscribers on YouTube is very important. If you're not subscribed on YouTube right now and you are listening to this podcast, please stop everything and go subscribe on YouTube. We do publish these podcast episodes as YouTube videos, and there are additional videos on YouTube, especially the ones that are all the How to Build Your Brand Empire series, that like 4-part series that I did. There are full visuals with slides like on the YouTube channel. So if you're more of a visual learner, like please, it's still so ironic to me that I have a podcast and I do visual marketing. But there are more visuals on the YouTube version, obviously, than what you can get from the podcast listening to it. So go check out the YouTube channel. That's definitely one of our top like social media goals for 2025. You all know how much I love a brag-worthy brand. And when it comes to creating stickers and labels that elevate your branding, Sticker Giant is the brand that you can trust. Whether you're looking to create something for your next launch, elevate your brand, or add a little extra flair to your packaging, Sticker Giant's custom stickers and labels help you get your brand noticed in all the right ways. They've got a dedicated team handling every single detail, so you can count on Sticker Giant to bring your designs to life just the way that you imagined. If you're ready to give your brand an extra boost, go to stickergiant.com and use code KMA podcast for 15% off your order. Sticker Giant, your partner in the sticker and label business. The next one would be getting to 10,000 members in our Facebook group. This is a goal that we've had since last year. We've been climbing towards it, but definitely haven't been pushing it maybe as aggressively or trying to transition people from our audience on TikTok into the Facebook group. This is also going to be a very interesting year to do this because of everything that's happening with Meta this week and Mark Zuckerberg rolling back on some of the regulations that come around with Facebook. But I think the 10,000 members in the Facebook group would kind of get us to a point where we feel like this is a sizable chunk of people, right? This is a good chunk of people. And I honestly really considered that after 10K subscribers, like cutting it off from new people being able to join and making it maybe a subscription model or making it something that's like one in, one out. But nothing drives me more nuts than Facebook groups that fall apart because they have 400,000 members and the whole thing becomes a spam account. So this is truly like an insulated, referral only, strict rules kind of group where I want there to be like job postings and referrals. And it's the first place that I send people if they're not a good fit for us. The first place I send them. Hey, I run this Facebook group. There's 7,000 members. A lot of them have learned from me. Like, please go and post your job in there because you'll get someone that'll respond within 24 hours. And I really like that as a selling point for the Facebook group. It's also such a nice accompaniment to the podcast. So the Facebook group is really great in that regard. There's over 6 years backlog content. I just found this week the journal entry that I wrote of like, should I start a Facebook group because I feel like there's too many, or is this just my own perception because I was in so many groups and I knew there were so many groups that I just didn't like how they were run. So, build it and they will come, make the kind of group that you want. And then all of a sudden you've got the kind of people that will enjoy that type of group. Could not talk about the Facebook group more. It's kind of my favorite corner of the internet. Love it there. So 10,000 members in the Facebook group is definitely the goal. I had a discovery call this week where she mentioned that she found us through the Facebook group because she's a marketing manager and she joined the group, and then they're now at the point where they want to rebrand. So it does have kind of those long-term long game potential for client conversion, but really as a resource, making the kind of group that I wish had existed when I started out. So that's really what the Facebook group is for. We'd also like to, keeping on the Facebook group theme, kick off, and this is a lofty one, 60 unique discussion topics in the Facebook group. We really want this to be a place where marketing minds can come together and solve problems with each other. And having this goal of 60 highly engaged, topical discussion-based, help each other debate, play devil's advocate, put things on the table. Like the first thing that I know I'm going to post in the group after this is, okay, TikTok ban. What do we think? What's our strategy, guys? How are we serving our clients? What are we going to do about this? What is this going to look like for us, right? And who's international? Who wants to start a TikTok agency overseas that helps market American businesses to other people? Like there's a whole can of worms there that I think could lead to some really engaging, special kind of discussion, conversation. And I think the Facebook group is a great place to do that. So plug for the Facebook group. Again, stop what you're doing. Go join the Facebook group if you haven't already. It's the same name as this podcast, but 60 total unique discussion topics, I think is going to be a fun one because I want to also use that as fuel for topics for the podcast. So it's serving a lot of purposes, this one. 1K subscribers on YouTube, we talked about. That's 10K members in the Facebook group, 60 unique discussions in the Facebook group. We want to do what we call social floods. So if you followed on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, you'll notice that when we finish a project, instead of just posting about that project once and then like never coming back to it again or throwing it in a carousel with a bunch of other work at the end of the year, we want to really give the treatment per project as if it's a campaign. So we've done this since, if you go all the way back to Piano Chi, where we like spent 2 weeks recapping the project, every aspect of the project in depth. And we've done that again for like Morgan Eckroth, Inlight Hyperbarics, Bloom RDH, and really like chewed up that stuff and gave it out in a way that like, even if you missed one post, you still had a chance to see the branding transformation that we did. And we want to hit a total of 8 social floods for 2025. So it's not every month, but there's 8 feels manageable with everything else. Also knowing that things change, right? Like as of the time of recording this, like the LA fires are going on. We're pausing our social content to leave space and leave room for resources to get out to the people that need it. So staying flexible within that as well. But being able to recap like really 8 solid case study brand social media floods where it's just every piece of content that we post for like a week and a half. It's just about that brand. That's a big goal for us for 2025. That being said, again, 8 is not 12. It's not saying monthly. So if we get 8 done in all of Q1, amazing. We crushed that goal. Set it higher next time, right? So the thing with these social floods is it takes a lot of my time. It takes a lot of content creation. It takes a lot of patience and a lot of practice to be able to accumulate that much content, to then post it all, make sure that the Pinterest is going and the YouTube and the case study is up on the website. We've interviewed the client for the podcast. Like there's a lot of steps that have to happen. So 8 still feels challenging, but not impossible, right? The next category of goals that we've set out, which last year we set a lot more, is podcast goals. Now, I've had to let go of a lot of the, again, vanity metrics for the podcast because that's not what we're in it for, right? As I've always said, this podcast serves a lot of purposes. One of them is to help educate designers like myself and become a resource for them and be able to educate on how to do our jobs better as marketers, right? If you're listening to this. But also our podcast is different, I think, from a lot of other podcasts because it gives me an opportunity to talk to professionals and talk to our clients in a way that recaps what it is that we can provide. So it's a very long-term sales funnel type of thing, because every time we have a client on the podcast, that becomes a case study for the next type of client like that. Right? So when I'm talking on a discovery call to another client that has a dental education business, I'll be like, yeah, you know what? We just did Bloom RDH, we did Dental Hygiene Nation, and we did dental hygiene seminars. Here's the podcast episodes. Why don't you take a listen to like the actual client talk from their firsthand experience about what it was like to work with us, what they learned, what they needed, how we helped them. And it's just a longer version of seeing something on a website, which of course you're going to see something on a website. It's going to be beautiful and amazing. But the podcast gives it an amount of depth and richness that I think is in a very like low expectation type of way that actually engages people to learn the stories more. That makes sense. And see the potential for what our team can actually really do, more so than just seeing it on the site or seeing the final product on MKW Creative Co. Right? So podcast, that's the Kiss My Aesthetic podcast strategy. Like I said, it's a little bit different than most podcasts who are like, but I think this comes from, I don't want to be a podcaster as a career. For me, the podcast is an arm of our marketing efforts. It's not that the podcast is its own business necessarily. But then again, the goal that we have on our bingo card is that the podcast pays for itself. For context, it costs MKW Creative Co. about $20,000 a year to produce this show. That's the YouTube editor, the podcast editor, the graphics. This isn't even counting my time, technically. This is just to make all of this, what you're listening to in your ears right now, or in your car or on your dog walker washing your dishes. This whole thing, putting out one episode a week for an entire year, costs about $20,000. Our goal is to get to the point where the podcast starts to pay for itself, meaning we hit a break even on the podcast. So that comes by way of sponsorships. So as you've probably heard in past episodes, we had Harvest sign on for a sponsorship and Sticker Giant sign on for a sponsorship. I'm very picky about who I pick as sponsors, and our goal is to go for the actual tools, products, services that we use. So I reached out to Harvest. I said, hey, I talk about you guys all the time. Don't you want to come on the show? Let's work something out. Those kind of efforts, and those are going to help offset the cost of what it takes to produce the podcast. Ideally, we'd get to the point where the podcast is in a cash flow positive zone. But again, the podcast isn't an independent business. The podcast is a marketing arm of MKW Creative Co. The other way I think about it is sometimes we've interviewed guests on the podcast who later became clients. That technically helps offset the cost of the podcast. So thinking back to that client list, if I want to work with clients that own restaurants or hotels or have a brick and mortar store, maybe I should go start interviewing some of those people for the podcast. Right? That would be a real good use of my time. That would be good outreach because then they get to know me, they get to know our services, they get to know the show, they get to know our whole universe. That's a really good way to, again, offset the cost of paying all these people to put this great show on, right? So that's our big podcast goal, is to get to that net zero, or the podcast pays for itself. The effort of podcasting is then paying for the production of the podcasting. Make sense? Last, and certainly not least, we have all of the personal/business development goals that could potentially go on our Bingoals card. First and foremost, this goes to pitching, just like the pitching with the sponsorships, pitching for dream clients. Our goal is to aggressively but kindly, and not in an in-your-face type of way, find a way to tactfully pitch dream clients by using case studies. So, for example, Pianochi Property Management, fabulous case study. She's an Airbnb manager in Italy. Who's an Airbnb manager in Costa Rica? Is there someone who's an Airbnb manager in France? Is there someone who's an Airbnb manager in Barbados? Can we show them what we were able to do with Pianochi and say, hey, listen, like we just did this for someone in a different geographic area, but like we might want to work with you and help you get this thing going, and really see the potential of what it means to have like beautiful branding in your service area. Same for those food clients, the festival kind of clients, the food and bev, like really showing off, hey, here's a canned cocktail company that we just finished. If you ever need help, like we'd love to help to get you going. It's that delicate line though, because you don't really want to pitch someone and be like, your branding sucks. Like you should work with us because your branding sucks. So we have to be tactful there. But the idea is to get more comfortable with pitching. Shout out to Pander Design Co. with Phoebe. She is the master of this with murals. She cold pitches for a lot of her new business, and I've always really admired her for that. And it's something that I think we could do more of instead of just relying on social media to get the word out there. The next goal under the personal/business development, Skillshares, internal team Skillshares. Some of the team members did that this year, some did not. I found them extremely useful to learn how the team members each do their jobs or how they know something that maybe I don't know. The first one that comes to mind, Cody, her calendar management and organization Skillshare that she did with our team was so insanely helpful about just blocking your week, knowing what you have coming and blocking off your week accordingly, knowing that you can change it anytime you like. But if you're going to go to the gym, give yourself an extra 15 minutes on your calendar to drive to the gym, because my dumbass would book a client appointment up until the minute I had to be in the gym. That's not possible. You have to commute. You can't just teleport. So just blocking the time better and color coding your calendar. If you could see my calendar now versus where it was at a year ago, 2 years ago, it makes so much more sense. It is so much more manageable and so much more just achievable to have that kind of layout. So that came through with Cody giving our team a Skillshare. So each team member is responsible for putting on a 30-ish minutes Skillshare with a 10-minute Q&A. And once they finish that, that is the only individual goal on the entire Bingoals list. So the sooner they get that done is the sooner that they could cross it off. And that was a really nice incentive last year that we're going to carry into this year. The next one, 5-star reviews. Last year, our goal was to get 5 5-star reviews. We blew past that goal real quick. So this year, 15 5-star reviews. Doesn't hurt. We also have on here Design Award. Last year, we applied for the Reelies. We were finalists at the Reelies. We did not win the award at the Reelies, but there's a chance to do so this year. Also, the asterisk on that is that applying for awards costs money. So we need to make sure that if this is one of our goals, that we sideline some funds from the business to pay for the application fee of those design awards. And we need to kind of figure out what is our total budget involvement with that before we move forward. We also talked about paid workshops, me hosting 2 paid workshops. I've had a lot of interest on my TikTok lives and in my Instagram DMs for hosting a workshop on AI and branding, also for hosting a workshop on brand guidelines and how to pass off branding to the client. So keep your eyes out for that. We're kind of scheduling those pseudo for our slower months. So we'll look at the data from last year, figure out when our slowest quarter was, and then maybe create some webinar style kind of educational content around that for paid amount of money. We also talked about having a big goal of ours this year is to donate. Right now, it just says X number of dollars to nonprofits, but we'd really like to get to a place where we're donating regularly. That's really a big goal that we all feel strongly in. We need to, again, go back to budget, sideline, figure out how much money we're looking to donate. But I'd really like for our team to make that choice together. So either we donate a huge chunk of money and we split it between a bunch of organizations, or we pick a different organization every month. We're still kind of working out the kinks on that goal. Again, I'm trying to stay away from goals that have to happen monthly because you won't know if you hit them. Versus if we set an ambitious goal of like, we want to donate $5,000 to charity. Okay, what does that look like? How much money do we need to make to be able to have the money to then donate? We still got to cover our expenses. We still got to be cash flow positive as a business. What's our threshold to then say that we can siphon off the 5 to give to a nonprofit org? The other thing that we really want to do this year is do one pro bono project for some kind of nonprofit or rehabilitation project that works towards our demographic, helping businesses get off the ground, helping female entrepreneurship, helping something related to our business. And what can we offer as a pro bono offering to get those things started? So definitely some more charity work is on the plate. One of our goals for this year. We also talked about things where we can do more team bonding. So our team, it's me, full-time employee, Madison, full-time employee, Cody, who works really regularly with us. And then the other contractors are truly independent contractors. Like we're living all over the world and we're getting our work done and answering on Basecamp. We kind of have lost or fallen apart on the consistency of the team calls, mostly because it was pretty redundant for myself, Madison, and Cody. And then for the other team members, not all the information on a team call was relevant to them. We kind of went by the wayside with the weekly team calls, which I used to love, right? Like this was our happies and crappies and our scuba and snorkel meetings. And instead, we just kind of have been communicating just purely digitally. And I think we're lacking some of that. So we talked about putting on the list 8 total team group calls for the year, whether that's a social hour or a co-work or just a check-in or something where every single team member is on the call. And that would be really, really important to us. And it's hard because everybody's got different schedules, different time zones. It takes some finagling, but I think a good goal of 8 team calls is on the list. The other one is a team retreat. I would love to have a team retreat. I would love to have a team retreat where the accommodation was covered by the client. So that's the asterisk on the goal because we're coming from all over. It's a big expense to host a team retreat and cover people's travel. So the offset of that is if we can get our accommodation covered by a client, meaning we're going out to them, or we're helping with a photo shoot for them, or we're doing some kind of content piece around being there where the accommodations are covered, then I'm happy to help cover my team's travel or help contribute towards the travel for them to get out there. But knowing that all things can't be equal, right? Like people are coming from all over. If we do a retreat in San Diego, I don't have to travel. But if we go somewhere else, or go abroad, that becomes a little bit more of an expense. So we have it on there, team retreat. We'll see if it happens. It didn't happen last year, but I feel optimistic about it this year and seeing where we could find a creative way to have the client help underwrite the cost of getting our whole team out there and having kind of like a brand intensive on behalf of their company. So that's a big goal for us as well. The last, but certainly not least, goal in our 2025 bingo card is to close 24 new projects. 24, which is ambitious. Not all of those have to be branding. Some could be merch, some could be print, some could be websites, some could be ongoing retainer or social. But that's our lofty goal for this year is 24 new projects, which means new contract, new workflow before the end of the year. Granted, if we're working ahead and we get all those done by June or July, mark that sucker off, right? Goal accomplished. And the point here is that goal first started is close 2 new projects a month. And again, we edited that back to say okay, if that's 2 new projects a month, that's 24 in a year. Let's just make the goal close 24 projects because maybe we hit it earlier than the end of the year. And we don't want to have to wait till December to know if we hit the goal, right? So think about that with your goal setting. Think about how you can change your goals for the purpose of bingo, right? There's definitely other goal setting stuff that consistency is key, but with the bingo card specifically, think about how you can write out goals that are quantifiable and achievable to give you the motivation to the next one, right? Because let's say we knock off that 25 new projects. And then we also knock off 15 5-star reviews. And then we also knock off food client, hospitality client, and brand architecture client. And maybe you're just missing one last goal in your bingo list of this random list of 24 plus, right? That you put into your different squares. That's going to be the extra factor to push you towards that last one, just to motivate you to get bingo that you need to get you to the other side of it, right? And to win the on our team, it's a free massage. So that's what we're working towards. I hope you liked this episode. I hope this gave you some inspiration. Please play bingo with us. It's linked in my bio. It's the first product image on the link in the bio. You can also find it in the Facebook group. Help us out. I told you plenty of times to pause this podcast. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel, join the Facebook group, etc. Please send some projects our way. And we're looking forward to hearing your goals. So if you downloaded a bingo card and you're going to post it, please tag me. I'd love to see it because I also want to check in with you throughout the year and see where you got to on those goals, because accountability is a huge thing with goal setting, as we know. Again, thanks so much for listening, guys. And we'll catch you next time on the podcast. Bye.